A tilt is when the camera remains in a fixed position but moves vertically up and down. And a tilt actually imitates sort of a head nod if you were to do like this. And a tilt is really interesting in terms of putting the viewer in the subject position, either of a character or of sort of an omniscient sort of being. So one of the clips that I chose to illustrate this is a clip from Goodfellas, where Henry Hill, as an adolescent, has fallen in with a bad crowd. He's hanging out with gangsters, doing all kinds of illegal activities for them. And he comes home to his family, and he greets his mother, who is a working class Italian woman, and he says, "Look, Ma, new shoes." It cuts to the mother's reaction, and you see her head sort of scan down his body, and then the camera imitates that motion by sort of tilting down and sort of focusing in on Henry's shoes. And what's really great about it is the camera then puts us in the position of Henry's mother, so it privileges her subject position. The second use of tilt comes from one of my personal favorite films, which is Coming to America. And there's this great scene of the royal motorcade driving down the streets of New York in this really amazing score and sort of sweeping music and crane shots, and it's really incredibly grand. And we get the final reveal of the king stepping out of his limousine, and John Landis sort of starts at the ground and he tilts upward to sort of reveal slowly James Earl Jones's face. And what's really amazing about that is the tilt up, so that the audience is looking up at James Earl Jones. It has a connotation of power, that this is a figure that we are supposed to respect and treat as such. And the reason that I find this particularly noteworthy is that you don't actually get that with black characters all that often. And so traditionally, the tilt in the camera expresses the view of the director or of this sort of assumed viewer who quite often, as various theorists have talked about, is assumed to be a straight white man. And that means that the characters on screen who end up getting validated via these camera movements tend to also be straight white men. And if you think about the history of African American representation in cinema, African American characters are very rarely leads. They're very rarely figures of power. They often play supporting characters or comic relief. And so to have this camera movement used for James Earl Jones, who already narratively is a king and played by this amazing actor with this iconic booming voice, and then to just reinforce all of the respect that's already been sort of building for him with this technique of the tilt is really fairly radical, I would say.